Good morning, everybody. As you can probably see, it's 10 o'clock. Can you hear me better now? If you're waiting for Doug Harrison to show up, I'm not Doug Harrison, and he unfortunately cannot be with us today. He was called away for a different meeting for some system things that are going on. So today, you get me as your MC. No claps, okay. So first, I just wanted to thanks, Jennifer. There's one. Just wanted to thank everybody for attending and the importance of the representation here and ensuring that you take the information back from this to your employees for staff meetings to pass along the important information, as well as to encourage the review of the recording that's going on right now. So certainly do that. We did have a lot of questions that were submitted in advance, of course, and we will continue to provide responses to those, and then Rhonda will get them out to everybody. Beginning of next week is what we'll be shooting for in the Harrison Huddle Thursday. That we will get them out to everybody. So appreciate everybody submitting those. Some of those questions we'll answer today during the presentations and the stuff that's going on, but the rest will release in the Harrison Huddle when it comes out next. We will have a few department head updates as well from finance, from nursing, from operations, and myself a little bit from HR, and then we'll entertain any questions at the end for anybody that has those. Just a few pieces that Doug had asked me to mention as well is we did purchase the 34 acres in St. Clairsville for the future development of our outpatient clinic. The new cancer center planning is going very, very well, and as well as the new pediatric center that's moving along. We did have a few donations and some suppliers and naming rights that were supplied for some certain things. So look forward for some further announcement from Jess Ryan coming out on that. Also, the Weirton Hospital transition is also going very, very well. It'll be great for the region. We're still moving forward for a January 1st effective date for that. So that's still their date of anticipation of joining WVU Medicine. Quick note on the engagement survey, just to continue to encourage everybody to please take the time to complete the survey, as well as encourage your teams to do so. I will read a couple of facts that some of the departments have sent in as to what they've utilized the engagement survey for immediate improvements, or from some low-hanging fruit that we could utilize to make improvements here at the hospital and within the system. It's very, very quick, just a few questions. It's not lengthy like it was in the past, but the topics that are in there will still allow us to look at trends since the last engagement survey and looking to see what we need to do. It did kick off July 6th, and we do have until July 8th, and we have until July 26th to complete it. So we truly do value the feedback, and we absolutely want to hear from you, as we always do. As you can see, the "we heard you" comments that come on the Harrison Huddle, it's another avenue for you to please take the time to respond and to provide honest feedback to anything that we could be doing better, and as well as highlight on the things that are going well. So just a few things that have come up of people have submitted that since the last survey. Here are some things that we have utilized that for to make improvements. They've actively promoted open door policy with management team to foster communication, which allows leaders to continue to listen to concerns and address issues quickly. Increased and extended training of new hires to ensure they are comfortable with their new assignments. Added a full-time PM shift supervisor and overlapping with AM shift supervisor for direct communication and handoff. Allows for time on a weekly huddle agenda to discuss teamwork and communication with work units. Let's see. Recognize individual efforts and commitment to the team success in one-on-one meetings, team meetings, huddles, and emails. We've awarded over 100 quality, safety, patient experience, and good catch awards. The unit council meetings that were scheduled monthly with members that attend around work schedules and allow more people to participate. Equity reviews for employees, market value raises. HR business partners are now attending all staff meetings to address any direct staff questions right there. Recognition board and conference room displaying and introducing new employees, evade classes, safety whistles given to staff in case of emergencies, and we can go on and on, but as you can see, it's just things that you think that maybe are very light or that maybe aren't as important to mention as part of the survey absolutely are important, and like I said, those easy low-hanging fruits that we can grab and take care of are absolute wins, as well as some of the bigger things that I'll touch upon in a little bit in terms of HR efforts that will be changing for 2025 because of what you guys have brought forward to us. So again, just please, if you could, take the time to complete that with honest feedback and encourage your teams to do so. We're looking for at least 80% completion so that the feedback that comes in is more relevant and a more appropriate representation of the hospital. Joint Commission, obviously they spun around through here last week. It seemed like I think they were here for a month and a half this time. But just wanted to also, on behalf of the administration team, to thank everybody for their continued preparedness as well as efforts while everyone was here. The comments that came through of staff's ability to meet with them, take them through the want to speak, not be too nervous about with the surveyors. The comments that they had made about what they experienced at the visit here are things that they wanted to take back to their own hospitals or others that they wish that people had also run the way that this place runs. So again, a great testament to what has been going on here in terms of preparedness and regular participation, especially the accolades that we got and the no conditions though going forward, but the fact that the Joint Commission themselves were also going through a survey while they were here doing our survey is even more of a testament to what had occurred. As the next transition then with Joint Commission, the man who brought the Joint Commission to us, I want to introduce Dave Phillips formally to his first formal town hall meeting. Of course, Dave is our new Chief Operating Officer. Many of you know Dave previously from his role as President and CEO of WVU Medicine Barnesville and Harrison Community Hospitals. He served the Upper Ohio Valley for 27 years. He's only 35, so that's different, but including 12 years as the CEO. So he brings a wealth of experience in healthcare to the vital role of COO here at the hospital. He does have a bachelor's degree in health administration from Ohio University and an MBA from Waynesburg. And he has worked very closely with Corrine on a lot of transition items and moving into this role. So he absolutely has been able to hit the ground running since he's been here in the role. I know one of Dave's career goals was to specifically work for a larger community hospital and continue to grow his career within the health system. This role absolutely certainly allows him to do so. So with that in mind, I want to introduce Dave, who's going to say a few words about what's been going on and what he's learned since he's been here. Now, come on up.
Morning, everyone.
Dave also does not need a microphone.
No, I won't really necessarily need the microphone, but I'll go ahead and use it. As Scott said, my name is Dave Phillips, and I am no stranger to the Ohio Valley. I've been in the Ohio Valley my entire life. Give a little bit of background about myself. I grew up in Flushing. I reside in Morristown now. I'm a Union Local graduate. And when I got done with my undergraduate work at Ohio University, I worked in the home care industry for a period of time, working in marketing, working in provider contracting, and then went to work for the American Red Cross for a period of time in blood operations and worked there until I had the opportunity to go to Barnesville. And in my time at Barnesville, I started out as the Director of Materials Management, went into a facilities management role, went from there into an operational role, and then 12 years ago, I went into the CEO role as part of a succession plan for our longtime CEO that was retiring. And our journey, much like Wheeling Hospitals at Barnesville, was that we came into the WVU system in 2021. And at that time, I took over Harrison Community Hospital, which obviously many of you are familiar with as it being part of Wheeling Hospital. Took over Harrison and aligned the two Ohio critical access hospitals at that point in time. And throughout that time period, I knew that if there was an opportunity in the future to work in a larger facility such as Wheeling, as Scott mentioned, I wanted to take advantage of that. And when I found out that Corrine was going to be retiring, I had some conversations, and it just seemed like the right point in my career at the young age of 35. Actually going to be turning 49 next month, but the gray hair is more a result of my kids than my wife. She covers hers up. But so I have my wife, Crystal, and I, we've been married for 25 years last month. We have two boys, Carson and Gage. Carson is going to be a senior, going to be a freshman at West Virginia University this fall, going through the pains of sending a child to college. And then my youngest, Gage, is a sophomore at Union Local. So that's a little bit of background about myself and my journey to getting here into the role. As Scott mentioned, I spent a day a week over the course of the last couple months with Corrine and meeting many of the leaders throughout the organization and getting a solid foundation of what was already going on and the good work here at Wheeling Hospital. And now that I'm here, Margaret did blame me for bringing the Joint Commission on day 2. I walked into the lobby, they were there, and as I introduced myself, I said, it's day 2, I don't know anything. But, the survey, and I've been through several, the survey was an excellent survey. All of you did a fantastic job in terms of representing the care that is delivered here at the hospital and the care that is given to the people that walk in and out of these doors each and every single day. The Joint Commission was truly impressed. Many of the findings that were outlined by the surveyors, quite honestly, they were minor. There were a few things that we need to work on, but many of them, are easy fixes, things that we already maybe fixed or things that we can fix really easily. So, my role going forward, I've taken over, many of the departments that Corrine had in her role as Chief Operating Officer, with the exception of the OR, which transitioned to Jennifer Riley in her role as Chief Nursing Officer. But all of the other areas under Corrine have transitioned to me. And then with John Pastorius, going to be going down to part-time, and I guess we'll call it a semi-retirement. I'll be taking over several of John's areas later this month as well. So, I appreciate the warm welcome that I've gotten here over the course of the last 9 days. But I'm looking forward to it, going forward and representing the great work of Wheeling Hospital and WVU Medicine. So, Scott, thanks for the time this morning. And if anyone has any questions, please reach out and let me know. And as Scott said, with an open door policy, I'll always make myself available to any of you if there are issues that I can help you resolve. So, thank you, everyone.
Any questions for Dave, though, before he actually runs away?
Run is not in my vocabulary.
Speaking of avid runners, we're going to have Bill come up next.
We should have patient care next time. They always trump finance. So.
Yeah. All right, Jennifer.
I should say, more important.
Good morning. I will say, Dave Phillips, gosh, I can do it all the time. There's too many Phils and Bills and Dave Phillips. But his very first day was actually a Sunday when he switched over. When I called him to say, is this your very first day? Because we're going to open incident command. He's like, it is. So that's how he came. So you came right running from the start. So I think you do run a little bit. I want to echo everyone else's sentiments to say thank you very, very much for all of your hard work in your everyday regulatory readiness. I think that the quality team did a phenomenal job under Heidi and her team with Kara and others. Each one of you, each department, nobody any more important than the other. It really took a collaborative effort, and I want to thank you all as well. As nursing goes, the OR has transitioned under me, so the OR and anesthesia, and also all of cardiac services, so the cath lab and non-interventional cardiology. The cardiac services will actually go to Margaret, and so she's working diligently because the first thing on there is we're really excited. We're doing the interviews for the cath lab manager, so we're going to get the right fit for there so that we can make some needed changes, I think, there. Also doing a really good job in recruitment. You'll see a lot of new faces around. There's a lot of new nurses, a lot of new nurse externs. There's going to be some aspiring nurses, so we're very excited about that. And I know that finance is probably excited about it too, because hopefully we'll be able to eliminate some of our travelers. The most excited I am this week is really about our aspiring nurse program. We have and probably will sign 19 new to our 7 existing aspiring nurses. And remember, those are the people that are just in their nursing school, giving them that stipend to try to help them through that for a 3-year commitment. And the stories that we heard and the passion that they have for nursing and patient care just really gives you a little boost that we all sometimes need. So excited about that. We know that we are in an open window for CAPE promotion, so that opened July 1st and ends September 30th. And I know there are some questions with that, so you can always feel free to ask HR or myself or their leader. But we are having some CAPE informational sessions. The first one is next Friday. So please encourage your nurses to go to those. They are the only ones that can go in and apply and do all of that. So they really need to get those answers that they have. We also had our first ever joint nurse residency between Reynolds and Wheeling, which is an exciting time. There were 24 brand new nurses in there on Monday morning, and I love to see that. In particular, so that we can build some strong relationships between the 2 hospitals. I think that's a good place for that to start as well. Sterile Processing is very, very excited themselves. They've interviewed and hired a lot of new techs down there, which is really helpful to the OR, but to our organization. And I know Michelle's been very, very excited about her work down there. Lynette and her team are doing a phenomenal job. We're in our application process to bring our NICU to a level 2 NICU. And so I think that's exciting times for the entire hospital as well. Let me see. There are some big things coming in the form of workplace violence and also just culture. And there's a lot going on with that you'll be hearing more of. But I just think in a town hall, if you have specific questions, you can reach out to me. But to know that at a system level, Albert Wright and all of the administration teams so very concerned and dedicated to our safety, our team member safety, and patient safety. So workplace violence, there's a lot coming around. And then just culture, so that we can make sure that when we do have errors or things happen, that we're looking at that from a process and not person. We do want a spirit of inquiry where we can learn and do better here. And I think we all felt that last week with the Joint Commission. So I think I don't want to steal any of Bill's thunder, but just to say I do appreciate, in a lot of the nursing areas, there's a lot more volume, and we have handled that. And last week when the Joint Commission was here and I looked at that census and it said 225 and 237, I thought, of course that's what's happening. But I think we handled that really well, and I'm not going to give any specific numbers because I know Bill likes to, but there's a lot of increase in volume in our discharges, in the ED visits, and in the OR specifically. And we can't do that without all of you. So that's really all I have for today. Are there any questions at all for me from a nursing or patient care perspective? You guys are so quiet. Yes, sir.
Still doesn't want to do this. But do you want to tell everybody what the just culture means?
Okay, sure. Just culture, a lot of hospitals have a just culture. A lot of systems have that. And it really is a process to ensure that the culture here, right, that the culture is not a punitive culture, but really is looking at it in a just fashion, right? So there's an algorithm that goes through that so that we can really see, like, what happened. Oh, that happened. Okay, well, was there a policy? Was there a process? Was there education? Did they have the certification for that? Was there something that administration should have done? Has this happened before? And it really literally goes through an algorithm so that we can determine, does this person need consoled, right? Do they need consoled? Or do they need to be held accountable for it, right? Was it an accident or was it a reckless behavior? Was it a choice that they made? And it really is hand in hand. So leaders are going to get a lot of information about this. We'll be hand in hand with HR so that we are ensuring that we're all doing it the same way, right? So that just if you work for Bill, because he's a really nice guy and he never, ever, ever holds any of his people accountable, and Jennifer is not, and so all of her people feel like they're always in trouble, right? It eliminates that so that we're all going down the same path, but so that people are not afraid. We're all really trying hard to make it so that you want to report events that you see so that we can make this the safest place to get care and provide care, right? And so we don't want you to be afraid if you've made a mistake. We want to just help you through that. And Heidi's team and my team and HR, we're all dedicated in that, along with our physician team. We're all partners in this. Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Go, Bill.
I just want to clarify one thing. I believe you said Phil doesn't hold those people accountable, not Bill, right? Just want to make sure that I heard that correctly. So how have we done so far financially here through the second quarter, through June? We've actually done quite well, as we can look at this.
Green.
And the predominant color on there is what? Green. There's a couple of reds on there. I mean, you can't be in accounting if you're red-green colorblind, but it's been a very successful first 6 months for us. As we stand here today at the end of June, I need to get my glasses on so I can tell you the right numbers. Our operating margin for the month of June was actually 3.4% on a budget of minus 2%. And then year to date, we're at 2.6% on a budget of 0.45%. And from a dollar perspective, I know that usually means a lot more to everybody than the percentage numbers, but we are doing about $3 million better than we were at this time last year. So, and that's going to continue to get better month per month as we make that month over month comparison. And I know that Jennifer talked about the volumes. I don't know if everybody felt like they've been more busy, but the numbers certainly bear that out. The number of discharges that we've had in the first 6 months of this year are up almost 20% over what they were this time last year. That's a pretty big number. The emergency room visits are up 13% year over year. The surgeries are up about 6% year over year. And our adjusted patient days are up about almost 10% year over year. So if everybody feels like they've been busier than they have been, that's absolutely true. A couple other good results for us through the first 6 months is our case mix index, which is, a measure of the acuity of our patients that are coming through the facility. Actually at 1.76. And year to date, we're at 1.72, and that's several points higher than where we were at this time last year. Every 1/10 of a point in case mix index is a fairly significant move. It's almost like interest rates. If your interest rates go up 1/10 of a percentage point, you can feel that in the rate, and that's the same way with the case mix index. Very small movements are really pretty meaningful. So a couple other measures. Our days in accounts receivable are 48 days, and 48 days means that's the overall average of what it takes from the time a patient is discharged until their insurance is billed, the bill is paid, and that account goes to zero. Okay, so obviously we want that number to be as low as possible, but 48 days is a pretty good number given that Medicare usually pays a clean claim within 17 or 18 days, and your managed care payers will usually pay a clean claim within 30 days. So 48 days is a good measure. This time last year it was 56 days. So we've made a number of improvements there. And then the days cash on hand, actually 34 days, a little bit down from last year. What that measure means is that you could run for 34 days without taking in another dime before you would run a little bit short of cash. So 34 is still a fairly decent number compared to some of the other facilities in the area. So that's another thing to be proud of. A couple of expense items that are sort of dogging us this year is the health benefits expense. That's pretty much running about $500,000 over budget per month. And the way that is calculated throughout the system is we have what's called a shared system. So we take all of the employee health care benefits from across the system, everybody in the pool, and then we divide that number by the number of FTEs, for instance, that are at Wheeling, and that's our share. Now, that's not necessarily what our actual expense was, but that's how it's accounted for across the system. Now that can be a two-edged sword because I've been in other places where your healthcare benefits are exactly what your own employees are, which could be good, could be bad. Because if you have a couple of really bad claims, at your particular facility, then that can pretty much tank your financials for the entire year. Whereas with the shared model that we have, that's, those sort of bad claims are spread out amongst everybody in the health system. So a new measure that we're probably going to go to in coming months, instead of operating margin, we're going to go to what they call EBITDA margin, which is earnings before depreciation and interest and amortization. It's a little bit more of a term that's used within the financial community as opposed to operating margin, because depreciation and amortization are not a cash expense. They're an accounting expense, so that gives you a little bit better feel for what the actual financial performance of the organization is. So far in July, we're actually running about 10% ahead of budget so far through yesterday on our gross revenue. So it's looking fairly good for July. And the only other comment I would like to make is that has anybody seen the Gratitude commercial on television? It's on fairly often. I don't know. Nobody's seen it or familiar with the Gratitude song. I forget the name of the person, but anyway, I have a huge amount of gratitude for the people here that saved my life. The night of May 16th, I was dead, and was brought back. So thank you, everyone.
I don't know how I'm supposed to wrap this up after something like that, but in general, thank you everybody for everything that everything that was presented today. And to go back to something that when Bill had first mentioned, that we meant that was that Dave, was that Phil, or whoever was the nice one, that we affectionately now have to refer to Dave as Phil, Bill, Carl, Dave, because it's Phil, Carl, Phil allows Bill, reminds of Dave Phillips, so every time we're like, you have to talk to Phil, Bill, Carl, Dave, and that's his new name. But just for a quick few pieces for an HR update, we do have a few new assignments with the recruiters and the HR business partners. If any of your units or any of your departments were affected by that, you should know that at this point in time. We've done a little bit of realignment, just assigning different positions to different recruiters or business partners, and trying to see where we get some traction on filling some additional of those roles. But just to give you a few statistics of what we've done so far this year, we've had 178 promotions. We have 385 new hires, 177 transfers, and we've filled 565 recs. So we're on track to hire 700 employees this year, which is actually a great testament to the HR team and their continued hard work on what they're plowing through and trying to fill the positions and taking care of our staff needs. So if you see your HR business partners, your recruiters, certainly give them a little bit of a shout out as they're working very hard, including employee relations, employee health, just fill my plug in for our fellow HR team members. We do still have some sign-on bonuses for some areas for the difficult to fill positions and areas that have greater than a certain amount of % vacancy rate. So we'll still continue to have those and hold on to those as we move forward to provide additional efforts to get those roles filled. I already mentioned the engagement survey. A quick note on QGenda. That's our new timekeeping and scheduling system. For Wheeling and Reynolds, we're in phase 3. So we're looking to hopefully roll that out by the end of the year. But there's a different phase of other hospitals that already have introduced the concept, and there are a lot of bugs that still continue to work out. So we refuse to go ahead and move forward and roll through those until those bugs are completely cleared. We're going through the planning phase and the design phase. All of the managers and leaders here in the room continue to participate in those calls to make sure that the pay codes, any additional pay practices we have are captured to move into QGenda with that leadership team. Summer picnic, there will be a summer picnic in August. We have a meeting on Monday. I keep joking, Jennifer's laughing because everyone keeps asking, when's the picnic, and I just keep saying summer. So we're going to meet on Monday to come up with a specific plan as to what date we can give you more information on those, so we can have a celebration for the employees for the month of August. Very quick, brief update on some exciting things coming up with some benefits enhancements, some things that I can share as generalities. You'll see once we get closer to open enrollment and the communications that are coming out as to what some of those things are. And keep in mind, a lot of these things come from continuing to hear from you. I continue to hear from employees. I continue to hear from the leadership team. Take that information to Morgantown of my HR steering committee meetings. And a lot of those changes come from areas of like the survey and your continued feedback and looking at things that we can continue to try to improve. So as Peak Health continues to grow and bringing external vendors in for utilization, we are moving forward to some areas of copay model. So we know we follow that additional 10% for certain tests. I think that you'll see for next year and moving completely forward to the future, moving fully to a copay model and away of some of those percentage costs. So just a little bit that I can say about that till that information starts to come out. As well, you'll probably be happy with seeing some lack of change in the premiums coming up. So utilizing some of the efforts of other spending measures to put that towards the medical benefits so that we can not have the cost come back down onto employees. So again, keep the feedback coming, and I think everyone will be very pleased with the changes that we'll see. There's also 6 additional voluntary benefits that are going to be offered. Again, some of those coming from yourselves. There's, for example, there's like a long-term care option, pet insurance, cancer care, additional cancer coverage. So again, just because of some things that you had brought up, keep those things coming, but you'll see some definitely positive changes coming for 2025 for the benefits, and then even more already planned for the future. With that in mind, are there any questions at all from the audience for anyone here? Or anyone that already has spoken? Jennifer, put your hand down. Just kidding. No one at all? Well, it might be a little bit quicker than today with Doug's absence, but again, just as he always mentions, we want to continue our focus on the quality, community, and financials to allow us to continue to thrive. So based on that, again, thank you everybody for your efforts, and look forward to seeing you around the halls. Thank you.